Dickhead.
Right, guys, welcome back to Relegation Battle. It's been a fairly boring week, I think, just international break, so not too much happening. But let's start with England. Guys, what do you think about, we face San Marino and Albania, so you can't really take too much from it. But do you guys think Southgate's learned anything about his squad going into the Euros now?
No, not at all. Because, like, what can you learn from playing San Marino and Albania when in the Euros you're going to have to face teams like France, Germany, teams like that if you want to do anything. So, no, not really. I mean, obviously, apparently Pope's is number one now, I read somewhere, that's a good start. But, and obviously there was still players missing, like Grealish, obviously Trent, if he's going to pick him. Obviously, there's been rumours that apparently Reece James is ahead of him, but I don't believe that yet. But yeah. So I don't think he's that much, but obviously I don't know what you lot think.
I think he's learned a little bit. I think we as fans have learned a little bit. I believe in that second game was more his first choice team rather than that first game, because obviously San Marino, I was looking before the game, they've drawn 2 out of their last 30 and then they lost the rest. They're both 0-0. So they're probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen.
I think they are the lowest ranked team.
Yeah, like they're so bad. So I didn't expect anything from that. So I think the second team against Albania, I think even though we should have beat them, and we did beat them quite comfortably, I know it was only 2-0, but we were fairly comfortable. I think that was more of his starting 11 that he wants. I think he wants. I'm still not sure about if he still wants Pope, because obviously Pickford's better with that distribution, so that's a bit of a mirror. But I think it will either be Walker or Trent at right back, Stones and Maguire, and I do think Luke Shaw. I don't know. Phillips played in both games, so it's looking like he's becoming one of Southgate's favourite as well. So maybe he might play both, like they did in the second game, Rice and Phillips, and then play 4 up top. But I think that's probably the wrong decision.
Yeah. I wasn't too impressed with Phillips myself in either game, to be honest with you. Even the San Marino one. Maybe it's because of the opponent, you can't really see his defensive skills properly, I guess. And he's better at going backwards and forwards in that sense. But I think Kyle Walker's a weird one for me as well. I wasn't impressed with him against Albania. The left side can be a bit better now, because Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell, I think they're both in good form at the moment. Chilwell at least did really well against San Marino. Like, you expect him to do all right, but he was one of the better performers in that game. And Luke Shaw has just been on great form, so you can't really say we're in trouble that side. But it doesn't look like Wan-Bissaka is getting picked for some reason. I don't know why or what the reason is, but it doesn't look like he's getting picked. Reece James is doing all right. I don't think he's at the level of the left backs yet. Trent's not doing too well at the moment, improving a bit, but still not there. And Walker, for me, he's not I don't know about you guys, but I just don't think he's doing well at the moment. So It's a bit of a weird one. But going forward, do you think, obviously Sancho has been injured, Rash has been injured as well. So do you think Sterling's done enough to almost earn him a spot now? Captain as well against San Marino.
It's hard. I'm not sure, because everyone's saying Sterling's not been great this season, but his numbers still aren't that bad. It's just because the seasons before have been so good that it's like what happened with Dele Alli. His stats were so good one season. Next season he dropped off a little bit, so everyone thought he's had a bad season. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I watch him play England. He seems a little bit hesitant sometimes. I think probably that's the best word for him. Like, he doesn't know whether to take a man on, a pass. And we're not going to create as many chances as City. So I'm not sure whether it should be Sancho who takes Sterling's spot, or, I mean, if Sterling carries on doing well this season, then I'm sure he'll probably get a space in the team.
Yeah.
I think Sterling starts anyway, just because obviously it's it's the same as he's one of the golden boys. He's Southgate has his favourites from the World Cup for some reason. Like, he keeps picking Trippier as well. So I think But yeah, I think he starts anyway because obviously Sterling to me is world class. You know, obviously, yeah, he's not having his best season. But then, like Jack said, that's just because the stats have calmed down a little bit. But yeah, so I think he starts anyway. The only one that I can see taking his place on the left is Rashford, but obviously his fitness is an issue at the moment. Obviously, he'll be ready for the Euros, but it just depends on how he ends the season on if he'll start or not, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other interesting thing is the formation. Southgate has previously gone through the back quite a lot, or in five at the back, should we say. He's experimenting a bit with four. Do you think we have the defenders to do that in the middle? Because obviously John Stone's playing well, but it seems like the most obvious partnership is him and Maguire. Do those two work well together, do you guys think?
I think they can do. I mean, because although we say a lot of teams, when they don't have, like, we go back to Arsenal, when they didn't have that many good defenders, you play three at the back to shore that up. But because England have so many good attackers at the moment, we can't afford to play three at the back. So I think if we've got a good solid partnership in the front, in front of them, then I'm more than happy to see the 4-2-3-1. I don't want to see three at the back again.
Yeah, I agree. So like Jack said, if we played a good partnership in front, like instead of Phillips, if Henderson's fit, you put him in there next to Rice, then I think that's good protection for the likes of Maguire and Stones, who do have mistakes in them. And obviously when Gomez is fit, which obviously isn't going to be till next season, but then maybe we can try go a bit more attacking in midfield, just because obviously Gomez has got that pace as well. But yeah, like Jack said, if we have a good little partnership in front of them, then yeah, I think we can play a back four.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you guys. Just the back four, obviously, it just is better to watch as well, I guess, from an England perspective. But
yeah,
I don't know what the game plan was against Albania, because against San Marino, you can tell there's a proper intent to go forward, because they almost knew that they were easy to cut through them. But against Albania, I don't know, it felt too much sideways passing, and maybe that's because of the Rice-Phillips partnership. No one's going to really try and penetrate them unless there's a Mount or a Foden on the board in that scenario. So, I mean, obviously midfield as well is a big spot. It's going to be hard for Southgate no matter what, but I think we still do have the quality to get further in the tournament than, what was it last time? Last 16 against Iceland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely should be getting past that. Elsewhere in the groups, I don't know if you guys saw the Ronaldo incident against Serbia. I mean, the ball, so if anyone didn't see it, Ronaldo's basically took a shot. The ball's just rolled over the line before a Serbia player's cleared it, but the ref didn't see it. There's no goal line technology for some reason in World Cup qualifiers, which makes no sense to me, because it's literally a country like could or could not go to a World Cup depending on that decision. So it's a bit of a really poor thing from UEFA, I guess, in the FIFA, whoever takes part in this. But yeah, Ronaldo wasn't happy at all, went storming off the pitch, through his armband. I think fair enough for that reaction, because it would have been, because Serbia are top of their group right now as well, so it would have been a big 3 points for Portugal, but instead they dropped 2 in that sense. Spain are struggling. They drew 1-1 against Greece, I believe, and then they are 1-0 down to Georgia until like the last few minutes, and then they just pulled 2 goals back. I think Daniel almost scored a really late winner as well, so Spain getting away with 1. Italy are going strong, 1-2 out of 2, so it's sitting in that group. France drew against Ukraine, 1-1, I believe, maybe 0-0. Then they beat Kazakhstan 2-0. I think it's very straightforward for them. Belgium looked a bit interesting against Wales, but then I think their second game is Czech Republic. The defense doesn't seem to be there. And I think when you play 35-year-old Thomas Vermaelen, that sort of says everything. I think, fair enough, I don't think they had either Eden or Thorgan Hazard. Hazard's always injured. I think Thorgan Hazard played the first game, so he probably just rested against Czech Republic. But I think Belgium could be struggling a bit this year, maybe at the Euros. Denmark, top of their group, 1-2 out of 2. Turkey shocked Netherlands, beat them 4-2. And then Netherlands did come back and they beat, I want to say, Latvia. But, I'll put a point onto it because the results haven't been bad since Koeman left and De Boer took over, but the football has been terrible. They haven't really been dominating. They weren't playing the way they were under Koeman. They weren't causing the teams problems like we saw them. So how do you think it's too late to sack a manager at this point?
Probably because that's the last international break before the Euros. I mean, as soon as the season finished, they're going to go off. But when the season finished in May and it starts in June, you get a month. You're going to get 1 month with the players to prepare for the Euros. So I think, like you said, the results haven't been terrible. It's just the performances. So I think wait until after the Euros and then decide about changing manager for the upcoming World Cup next year.
I agree.
Didn't Spain sack their manager before the World Cup as well? And obviously we saw
it's like a day before the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and they didn't have a great tournament. So it's not like you're gonna get a manager bounce at the international level. So nah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting decision, I think, to hire De Boer after he didn't do well at Palace, didn't do well at Atalanta last season either, and then just randomly got the national team job, which is beyond me. Maybe no one else applied for it or something, but it's definitely an interesting decision from the Dutch FA. So England doing well in their group, top of the table, 2-2. They're playing Poland tomorrow night, who don't have Lewandowski. Now, obviously, I mean, I don't think England would have been too worried anyway, but Lewandowski is out for a couple of weeks now. He'll miss both games against PSG as well, so on 4-3-3. So, with Lewandowski out and Neymar back in, do you guys think PSG are favourites now for that game?
Yes. It's hard because although you always say one player doesn't change your team, when you're that good of a player, it probably does. And the amount of goals he scored, I think Bayern Munich would have not struggled. They probably would have still been up in the table, but they wouldn't have done as well as they have done this season and the past couple of seasons. So with him out, I think they won't struggle to score goals. I just think they'll struggle to score as many. However, I do think they still have much more in attack to cause PSG problems at the back.
Yeah. So
I do think it will be more this game who can score more goals. I know obviously that's very basic football, but it literally, I think, even though Bayern Munich have a decent defence, they're still letting in goals this season, not being as strong at the back as they were. So, and we know about PSG's midfield and defence; it's not the best. So I do think it would be PSG more like, all right, let's try and score as many goals as we can because we're not gonna keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Jack said. I think, I wouldn't say anyone's the favourite because, I think you could give Bayern the edge because of the Champions League final last year. But like to me, obviously, like you lot said, Bayern have looked a bit shaky in defence this season, and all that. Obviously, Lewandowski's been very good, and obviously now he's out. Like I don't know who is their backup striker.
Choupo-Moting?
Yeah, Choupo-Moting.
I guess they could play Muller there as well, but Muller has the keeper in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So Choupo-Moting, he's got the best agent in football, but yeah, it's like, yeah, with Neymar back, obviously you don't actually know how fit he is. That's the thing, because obviously he's been out for a bit. If Mbappe can keep up the form he showed in the games against Barcelona, then they will cause Bayern problems. But then I don't think either defense is good. So yeah, like Jack said, it's going to be who can just score the most.
But yeah, to be fair, last season did Lewandowski score in the final?
No,
that's Koeman.
It's Koeman, I think. Yeah.
No, so they still have goals from elsewhere. So it's not like they can score goals. So I don't think Bayern Munich are now not favourites. I just think they have one less. They have like a less chance of going through as that. I think they were clear favourites, but now I think it's more of an even game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got like 34 league goals already this season, which is ridiculous.
It's mental.
Yeah, so when you take 34 goals out of a team, that's obviously going to cause a bit of problem going forward. But it'll be interesting. I think Hansi Flick's done really well since he's come in. Whether he plays Muller there, Choupo-Moting, or I think either one of you guys said the wingers there. Gnabry can probably slot in there. Sane could slot in there if he wanted to. So they've definitely got the options to do it. Even go to a false nine if they wanted to as well. So I think even though it'll be a bit of an advantage for PSG, especially with Neymar coming back as well, I still think you can't really say, buy now, out now. It's easy for PSG because they're still way too good everywhere else as well in that attack. I think other than that, I think Germany as well are top of their group in the Euros. They beat Iceland fairly comfortably. I think Gundogan scored in that game as well. And then, I think that's pretty much all the international break. I think African Cup of Nations, teams are qualifying for that now, and it'll take place next January, if I'm correct. So I think that's going to be a problem for us because Aubameyang's going, Pepe's going, I think El Neni's going, which isn't too bad, but squad depth and all that. So I think it could cause a couple of Premier League teams problems. Other thing I would talk about is obviously Aguero. Last night he confirmed that he will be leaving Man City at the end of the season when his contract finishes. He did obviously, we all know that famous enormous newspaper quote that he said he won't leave until he wins the Champions League. Maybe that will happen. But my question is for you guys, where does he rank in all-time Premier League greats, or at least strikers even?
Number 2 for me. Obviously, Henry he'll always be first. And then this Aguero. Obviously, look at what he's done with City. Obviously, he delivered their first title, obviously, in that game against QPR. So he scored loads of goals. Pretty sure he's their record goal scorer as well. So, it's Aguero at absolute levels. Always pissed me off as well as a Chelsea fan. Like, just love scoring against us, especially when they beat us 6-0. But he's Aguero's quality, man. If anyone deserves to win the Champions League, it's him.
100% agree with Ty second. Like you said, top goal scorer for Man City, won them within a season-defined moment, winning the first Premier League, and I'm sure he'll do everything he can to help the team win the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys just summed up perfect. I think, same position for me. I think if you just take Man City to a different level, and even if there's the other strikers who have helped them during the process, I think Dzeko is one of the more underrated ones that we don't really talk about. There was others like Stefan Jovetic was there for a while, Tevez was obviously there for a while, and more recently Jesus, Balotelli, but Aguero's just been there throughout. So do you guys think now, is it more Haaland? Is it going to be Danny Ings? Is Jesus going to... Do you think Guardiola will give it to Jesus, the main striker role?
I don't think it's going to be Haaland based on what came out earlier with Raiola's comments. Obviously that could just be Raiola being Raiola. But you can't give it to Gabriel Jesus. I mean, he's had chances over like the last 3 or 4 years and he just hasn't delivered. Like, because Aguero's been injured quite a lot. Yeah, he is. But obviously, like when Aguero's been injured now, like even Pep's just used a false 9. Like, I don't think you trust Gabriel Jesus. Danny Ings, maybe. But then obviously, again, he's also just another injury-prone player as well. But obviously, if you get him firing, then like we saw last season. But yeah, obviously, City they have all the money in the world. They can just go and buy whoever they want to replace Aguero. Really, it just depends on like what Pep wants. Pep will get in it. But obviously, it could be Haaland still. Like I said, it could just be Raiola being Raiola. But who knows?
Jack, who do you think will go to City? Do you think Pep might just think, Ings and Jesus, they might not be the levels that Aguero once was at one point, but they're still just good enough to do the job, and if needed, they can still always go back to the false 9 because this season they barely played like a proper striker, and they're still where they are in the league.
Yes, I mean, you could go back to the a point like, teams will get used to playing against them with a false 9, but it clearly hasn't been the case. They play a false 9 so many times and teams don't know how to cope with it because the centre backs don't mark anyone. So it's not like you can say, they'll play with a false 9 and teams will know how to deal with them. I don't know. I just think it'll be exactly the same. Jesus has also got his injury problems as well. A couple of times this
Yeah.
season, he's always injured, and Danny Ings gets injured at least twice a season. So I don't know if there's a point in him going and get Danny Ings just to still play a false nine. If you want a striker, go and get a striker that will play you 50 games a season, 40 games a season, rather than 3 or 4 games here and there, and then injured for two months or so. So I do think it just could be Raiola being Raiola, and I do think Man City could get Haaland because obviously his dad played for Man City fan. So I wouldn't be surprised, but you never know with Raiola, he could be telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ryder has a best relationship with any club, to be honest with you. But, you know, I think if Haaland does want to go City, it's got to be some big agent fees going to that deal itself.
Very big.
Yeah. Other than that, I think it was last week that came out. Last week we talked about Xabi Alonso being Borussia Mönchengladbach's manager. That's not going to happen now. He renewed his contract with Sociedad's B team for another 2 seasons, I think. So everyone just got completely lied to, I guess you want to call it that. Other than that, I don't think there's really much else that happened this week, unless you guys have something.
Just same old boring international football.
Yeah.
I'll wait for Prem back on the weekend.
Exactly. Prem back, I know we're playing Liverpool, so it's going to be a big test for us in terms of actually seeing how serious we are. Then obviously Champions League and Europa League are back in the next week as well. So I think after next week's pretty much, you want to call it the run-in, the most important part of the season now is just everyone seeing who's their clutch players and who's not meant to be at the club. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to that. Obviously England, Poland still playing tomorrow. Probably keep one eye on that, see how it goes. But without Lewandowski, I don't think any of us are slightly worried. But yeah, thanks guys for coming on and have a nice.
Before I think it's time to talk.